I think the deeper level is really understanding what business is really all about, and really focusing on that. It was something lesson that I learned, is that the who matters more than the what. So I strongly believe if you're trying to do anything with business, focus on the who first, serve the community, just like how Amy is doing with this podcast. Then all the relationships and everything comes on the front and the back end of that. So a lot of it is, I realized it's all about success really comes down to you. You're the only, the variable in this whole thing called life. So if that's the case, if we can tap into you and your belief system, that's first. And then obviously we can get into the skills that you build over time to get better. But first, your belief in yourself. Then second, those tactics and techniques that will help you get there. I remember this lesson, just like think big. And I'm like, I'm gonna go get a big poster on my wall. It says think big. And within a week I got that poster. And ever since then, the mentality is kind of anything is possible. That's just, let's create big targets, big goals, and work backwards.
Welcome to my legal academy, helping lawyers work smart, scale fast, and enjoy life.
All right. So welcome back to the 5th episode of Purpose Driven Law. I am your host, Amy Barrie. If you're new here, Purpose Driven Law is a platform that's designed to share the stories and experiences of leaders in the legal industry who pursue their purpose through their practice. Remember, you can find my podcast on my YouTube channel, iTunes, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe. Okay, so guys, today we have Sam Mollaei. Am I pronouncing that right, Sam?
That will do. Mollaei, like Hawaii.
Hawaii, Mollaei. Okay, cool. Anyways, he is a legal disruptor and a law firm owner of 6 law firms, but he's more interested in really disrupting the legal market. I've known Sam for probably about 5 years, I want to say, and I have really been able to see Sam sitting in the background, just one word, scale. He has scaled 3 of his law firms to multi-million-dollar firms from scratch. And he did all of this before he turned 33. So if that doesn't make you feel like you're not doing enough, I don't know what is. So one of his law firms is operating at a $20 to $30 million level. However, he spends most of his time helping lawyers around the world create their own automated, scalable law firm inside an online program called My Legal Academy. Sam shares the real strategies he uses to run and scale his 6 firms using top paid ad sources, funnels, automation, AI, ChatGPT, virtual assistants, and more. Sam, welcome to Purpose Driven Law. How are you?
Good, amazing. And I feel like when I heard about you starting this podcast, I'm like, yes, you're doing something that's so meaningful. I know there's so many things out there that are surface level. This is on a deeper level. So I'm all about that, and hopefully we'll explore that today.
Totally cool. Thank you so much. Yeah, I really feel that this industry needs these kind of conversations. It's always so brick and mortar and always just like so surface level when, we're all human at the end of the day and we all pursue our purpose. And what I've really found throughout my career over the 6 to 7 years that I've been in this industry is the people who really stand out and the people who are really hungry for leaving a legacy pursue their purpose through their practice. And it just shines throughout all areas of their life. And I'm just so happy to have you on the show because this is a person that really just like his actions speak volumes, his results speak volumes, and you are leaving an insane legacy. And for those of you that are watching, I can only count 4, but I'm sure there's like 20 of these really amazing awards that you get. Are those the ClickFunnels awards, right? Or the Facebook awards?
Yeah, the ClickFunnels awards for basically generating $1 million online. But what I
Yeah.
love about it is it was a goal that was set out. And honestly,
Yes.
if it wasn't for these, I don't think I would have got there at least that fast. So yeah, just that's what makes me feel good to be able to achieve goals and also take it beyond what it is, which is
Totally.
we'll talk about that today.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So share with us before we get into the nitty gritty, like, who is Sam? Where did you come from? Tell us a little bit about your story. Because I know from doing my own research, you have a really, really fascinating one. And I would love to hear.
Sure. So I was actually born in Iran, which is a Islamic kind of Republic of Iran, an Islamic country, but I'm Jewish,
Mm.
which is a little dichotomy because, just different religions and the government isn't really pro any other religion. So anyways, for hundreds of years, Persians have lived there, I believe hundreds of years at least. But before the revolution happened, I believe in late 70s, I want to say, or late 60s, 70s, I'm pretty bad in history. People started leaving. The Jews started leaving and going across Europe, coming to a lot of people came to the United States. And I would always hear United States, America, America, America. It's kind of like the feeling was always the grass is greener on that side. I would hear it nonstop. And then finally, when I was about 8 years old, my family finally decided to leave. But that decision wasn't taken lightly because you imagine you're living in a house, you've been living here for multiple generations, you're successful, a lot of people have real estate, but now you got to completely leave that behind and completely just start fresh. So that was one big thing. And then second thing is when you make this decision, you can't really put it out there and you have to do it quickly because if the government finds out, then they'll try to stop you or try to arrest you. So literally from decision to when we had to literally get on an airplane to leave was like 2 or 3 months. So we quickly kind of did a state sale, whatever. People would just come to our house. It would say, this. I remember I have these scenes where it would say like, this cabinet is this much. And they would like lowball us. And we couldn't really go back and forth because we couldn't really, come off desperate. We had no choice. So basically had to quickly sell things. Went to Austria for 4 months to get our citizen green card, I believe, and then came out to Los Angeles, and I've been living here in Los Angeles since I was 9 years old. I'm so happy to be able to do that. Just comparing myself, what would have happened if I would have stayed there? The freedom and the success and the family and everything else that comes with everything that America kind of grants us. I don't take it for granted at all. And I feel like it takes also the people who have earned to kind of be here and started from scratch. Those are the people that I think that really, again, don't take it for granted and are able to achieve even bigger and better things.
Wow. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah. I'm just like picturing this 8-year-old little boy just going through this chaotic life event and just, did you know what was going on, or were you just like, oh, like mom and dad are just leaving? Like, did you have any grasp on what danger you guys were actually in at 8?
I think I came at a pretty good age, but I know people like who came during high school or college, it was much harder for them. So it was relatively easy for me. Basically my biggest challenge, at least initially, was just to learn English. But the problem is I just got dropped into school and there was nobody who spoke Farsi, so I literally had to learn English from desperation. But it didn't take long, just from watching a lot of TV and just watching TV with captions. I think was the way that I learned how to speak English.
Totally, just getting crucified by fire, like figure it out.
There's no better learning experience.
No kidding. I've been trying to learn Spanish for like 3 years now, and it's just
best thing is to maybe just go to a Spanish speaking country or for a couple of months.
I've even moved to Mexico, and it's just still not, it's still a work in progress. It's a goal of mine. But wow, that's amazing. So you moved to LA when you were 9. And then where did this whole like techie entrepreneurial genius, where did that come from?
I feel like it was just very good timing. So I'm 35 now. So at the time when I grew up, like in elementary school, I remember the first social media that I was exposed to was LiveJournal. Not that people know about LiveJournal, but it was basically the biggest social media before MySpace.
Okay.
We were like in fourth grade, I want to say, and it was one of those. It was basically like a blog, but it was so funny. It was one of those things where like you have this online life where the kids they're in the class all interact online, but when you come to school, nobody knows each other and nobody talks to each other. It was one of
Yeah.
those things for a couple of years, and then when MySpace came out, I already was kind of got my hands wet with LiveJournal. I already know what it took to be able to kind of do well with that. So when MySpace got on, I got really aggressive, started adding as many friends as I possibly could, um, posted more, engaged more, and I basically became my first initial kind of social media startup was MySpace Sam. Some people called it a joke. It was like MySpace spam, but so it became MySpace Sam, and then so that was MySpace, and then when Facebook came out, same thing. Got on it early, was aggressive with it. Grew a lot of friends. That became its whole thing. Then Facebook happened, and the next thing happened. But I was always like somebody who would kind of see trends before they would happen and just be aggressive with it. I wouldn't question things. I do kind of see myself as like kind of instinctual. So if I do something, I don't really question it. I just do. And that has kind of, panned out, kind of jumping on things early and just being aggressive.
So like you are really good at building communities is kind of what I'm hearing. Like
It's understanding. I think the deeper level is really understanding what business is really all about and really focusing on that. It was lesson that I learned is that the who matters more than the what. So when before Legal Funnel happened, I always had an interest. I always had an interest to like share and give whatever I knew best. So, and I was growing my law firm, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start sharing these things. So I created a group, thanks to somebody. It was a Facebook group that I was in, and I was just giving answers. And I guess some people who owned that Facebook group kind of you're like, who is this kid and why is he answering so many people's questions? And I was just doing it just to answer people and just be helpful. But I guess it was threatening to them. They kicked me out, and I was offended. I'm like, why are you kicking me out? I'm just like answering people's questions with like no other alternate motive. And that kind of inspired me to create my own Facebook group. So for 6 months, kind of just providing value, engaging. And then when I finally decided to basically be able to actually serve the legal market, now I had my own community to tap into. So I strongly believe if you're trying to do anything with business, focus on the who first, serve the community, just like how Amy is doing with this podcast. Then all the relationships and everything comes on the front and the back end of that. And again, it's all about, and people can understand intentions and people can understand energies and things that really transposes itself across whatever kind of medium. So I'm all about that. I understand that. I live and breathe it. So yeah, I'm all about it.
Yeah, you have a very authentic and gentle spirit to you. You can really tell that, and you can just tell that you just want to help. And I think that's beautiful. So what would you define, how would you identify what your like vision or purpose is currently, and how has it evolved throughout the course of your career?
I think ultimately my purpose is to help people tap into their own potential that they have that they don't realize that they have. Ultimately, for some reason, I could see people's potential and I could see what they're capable of a lot better than other people can see it in themselves.
What do you look for? Like, how can you, what characteristics can you see in people? And you're like, I want to help you. What do you see?
I see more of people holding themselves back because of self-talk. So a lot of it is I realize it's all about success really comes down to you. You're the only, the variable in this whole thing called life. So if that's the case, if we can tap into you and your belief system, that's first. And then obviously we can get into the skills that you built over time to get better. But first, your belief in yourself. Then second, those tactics and techniques that will help you get there.
I love that.
And a lot of it just comes down to confidence building. It's I think something that was very clear to me was when I saw someone else do something. It was my first time with online, when I was trying to figure out online stuff. There was somebody who was very successful who was referring me all of his clients for me to set up their LLCs. I'm like, how is this guy, starting 100 different businesses for people? And like, wait a minute, it's not anything crazy. He just was able to find an offer that people like. He understands marketing. He has a good team to be able to onboard them. He's able to offer a good service, and he's just scaling it up. I'm like, okay, that doesn't sound that bad. If I can do it, so can I. So, kind of piggyback off that, he can do it, so can I. And then when I started also sharing what I'm doing, I realized that people are picking back off what I'm doing and seeing that, hey, it's not that hard. You could generate clients, you could serve your clients, you could scale this up. And it's good to actually kind of see that, kind of see it get done. And then at that point, it becomes easier to kind of visualize in your head and then just go do it.
So would you say that you, like, the vision that you had for yourself when you first started your career, would you say that you're living that right now? Or do you still have like so much more that you want to hit?
No, there's no way that could have imagined this vision. Whatever I'm living now is what it is now. I strongly believe that you don't know what you don't know. A lot of people will feel like they know what they know, but I think once you really think deep and how much your life has transformed to what it is now, you realize it's not what you really expected, because a new person could come into your life and completely change the picture. So instead, what I try to do is just focus on what I'm doing on a daily basis, based on principles, frameworks, principles, whatever you want to call it. And then and then not question where I'm going, but have a plan or vision where I would like to go, but let the rest play itself out and not really question it as much. A lot of people try to kind of guide it, or like, I want it to be like this. I'm like, who says you have to be like this? And or who says this is the best thing for you? Maybe there might be something even better for you, or maybe what kind of information you may have in 6 months may change your mind. So you really can't. You got to be kind of versatile to be able to constantly be on the lookout, to be open to change at any time.
Oh, that's so true. That hits so many things.
Hey, hope you're enjoying the video so far. If you're a lawyer and you're looking to work smart, scale fast, and enjoy life, right below this video, you'll find a link to book a call to speak to my team so we can tell you how we've been able to help over 500 law firm owners scale their law firm. Now back to the video.
I really do think that people just put themselves in this box, like this limiting box, because they want to control everything. But like, truth is, the more that you're in this game and the more that we live this thing called life, I think the ones that the light bulb starts to go off is understanding we're not in control and figuring out, all right, so these are my gifts, abilities, and talents. This is what I really enjoy doing. How can I surrender and just let those things evolve? And where is that going to take me? You just really hit so many things on the head, and I love that you brought that up.
And it's all based on expectations. So instead, you control what you can control. The rest is essentially in God's hands. And then dropping those expectations of how it should be, or what. I think the biggest one is like how people should be towards you. That's something that I think, let's speak deep about that, is, expectations of people to us, right? I'm sure Amy, you could relate, and everybody could relate about this. Nobody owes you anything in life. Nobody needs to do anything for you. And if you're sitting here waiting for someone to do something or say something to you, man, you're going to be waiting for a long time. So dropping all expectations, letting go completely, and just, being yourself. Not actually, no, I don't believe in being yourself. That's the thing. But being good and doing good will ultimately lead you to good.
Yeah, so true. Karma is real. Karma is a real thing, people. So you mentioned principles. I call them core values, but principles are along the same things. What are those principles that you live your life by, and how do you implement them in your day-to-day personally and professionally into your businesses?
A lot of the principles that I kind of live by are principles from the Torah, from the Jewish Bible, basically. I don't think I'm that smart to be able to figure out on my own. So instead, I just go to the best resource that I have
Yes.
that's been there for thousands of years. I don't have to figure it out. So a
Yeah.
lot of those things, obviously there's some things that resonate more than others. But one kind of longstanding principle is do to others as you want to be done to you. Easy principle to really understand.
The golden
Um,
rule.
yeah, golden rule. And then there's like two other ones that always stands out for me. And still this is like be good and do good. And the order really does matter too. Be good first versus doing good. You really have to feel good and be good before we even get to doing good. So kind of, instill that. And that ultimately means you got to be self-sustaining. You got to be happy. You got to feel good. You got to get basically yourself in check before you can, do other things. And then the other principle is kind of like being all giving with no expectations. Ultimately, I think that's what God is. He's completely all giving. He doesn't need anything from you. So kind of trying to get as close to that as we possibly can without any expectations at all. So, the best relationships are ones where you don't ask for anything. You just try to give as much as you possibly can. And there's no end to it too. A lot of people feel like it's too much. Can you love your kids too much? I'm like, there's no such thing. So now love endlessly and love as much as you can.
Yeah, being totally selfless and not expecting. Yeah, that's great. When you say be good, feel good, it's so easy to say, but like, how do people do that? How do you do that?
Everybody has different recipes. So everybody has to kind of do some soul searching to find what those things that make you happy. I found out practically, I think it's owning your morning is very important. Really, I know these are the cliche kind of things, but really like your momentum, how you start your day really dictates your day. So I try to make sure to have the best morning possible, which for me is basically my optimal ideal day, which I do about 3 out of 5 weekdays is I wake up at 5:10 in the morning. And I go to a Torah class basically at 6 a.m. until 6:45.
You
And
do that online or in person?
No, in person, with about 30, young people, which is also like a social aspect of that too, which is nice.
Totally.
And then from 6:45 till 7:30, praying together. Sometimes there's classes afterwards, but I usually leave. And then I leave for ideally I go to a personal trainer 3 times a week, which gives me a lot of energy for the rest of the day. But if I can do that, if I can wake up early, go to class and work out, then I have like literally the most outstanding, amazing day within a surplus of energy. Even at 5 o'clock when I finish work, I'm like still jumping off the walls because I have such a good energy from the morning.
So many endorphins. Yeah, totally. Yeah. So that's how you feel good. I totally agree with that. Like my mornings, if I have a crap morning, I am ruined for the rest of my day. Like my morning ritual is so sacred to me.
Sacred. Yeah. It's the perfect way to say it's sacred.
Yeah. And like my quiet time, my time with Jesus in the morning, that's like my cup of coffee. So like, I totally understand that. And I'm so jealous that you have like a physical community, because with us living, my husband and I living in Mexico here, it's very difficult to find like your spiritual family in face to face. So I can't wait to go home to Canada to actually have that again. So, and it's so important. So important. All right. So be good, feel good, and then be all giving. Obviously we can't how do you give all? Because that is such a loaded, just a loaded concept. And I feel like in today's culture, you said it before, selfless. Our culture today is selfish, and it's all about the self. It's all about self-love. It's all about me, myself, and I, my money, getting my bag, like my this, my that, whatever. How do you check yourself and put you back into that selfless state?
I feel like some people are more inclined than others to give. Some people I think have to work a little bit harder. I think I'll be transparent. I feel like I was a little bit more blessed to be a little bit more inclined to do it naturally. Just kind of I grew up I remember in being in school, I would create outlines, and I would just, without anybody asking, I would be like, hey, you want the outline too? Like, sure. I would like, and then I became like the outline person, just sharing it. And then when I started also learning stuff, I'm like, I will learn something. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh, this other person could also get something out of this too. So I will share it with them naturally. But now kind of, I feel blessed to be able to actually have a structure where I could actually give
Mhm.
freely, and not only give freely, but also get paid for it, which makes it even more amazing
Yeah.
to, kind of be incentivized to it. But now essentially I do it naturally, um, natively, and it feels good. If I think it comes down to practice too. A lot of people um, aren't used to the practice of giving. I actually just realized this week. I was helping out with a big fundraiser. We had a goal of raising about $500,000 for a Jewish organization, and I had to ask a lot of people to be able to get us there. And some people that I'm completely that are doing really well. I know these people that are like multimillionaires, real estate people. The amount that would give was like shocking to me. Versus some people who weren't necessarily doing that well, that would give bigger amounts. I'm like, what's going on? And I
Mhm.
realized those people that give less are not really used to giving. They haven't built up that habit of giving. So by the time somebody has asked them, like they're not used to it. Versus
Mhm.
people who are used to giving, and also can continuously look to like increase those amounts too, are the people that are like just give very quickly and give bigger amounts. So I guess it comes down to practice.
Yeah, it's funny. A big thing that I've always known this, like I've grown up with it, but me now being an adult is really realizing that none of it is actually ours, and it's God's at the end of the day. And the more that we give, the more that we're blessed, which sounds kind of ridiculous, but it just makes yourself prepare your heart in a different way when you are giving in those types of ways. And it's more so than just giving money, it's giving your time, it's giving your knowledge. It's just, there's a whole bunch of different ways to give, but you know, that's kind of a journey that I've been going through over the last year and a half, is just really truly understanding that. And it's just so cool the way God works when you surrender into that. Um,
I'm all for that too. Deep down, like with conviction, realizing that it's
yes,
none of it is yours.
yes,
Um, and you're just some people have different definitions of vessel, or a whatever, you're a
yeah,
third person, whatever you want to call it, middleman, to be able to uh, receive it, but it flows through you.
mm-hmm.
And
Yes,
yeah,
yeah, I agree. I agree. Two most influential people in your life.
I won because I feel like that one person has made up for two people.
Yeah.
It's my mentor. His name is Hamid Cohen. Works at LegalSoft. I'm sure Amy.
Did I
No,
meet him?
you met him 3 years ago. I believe
Yes.
when I
Okay.
introduced you. But I
Yeah.
feel like he's blown up. He's blown up a little way more in the past year or two, and his company is also blown up. It's crazy how much he's grown. But anyways, um, I met him 4 or 5 years ago while when I started figuring things out. I started doing it for other lawyers, and he was one of the COOs of one of these law firms, and we became close through that. And he started kind of mentoring me on one of my law firms, and he was able to kind of help me grow my law firms, grow my first law firm. Then through that experience, he kind of helped me figure out what my strengths are, which for me is kind of client generation, automations, and systems, and
Mhm.
scaling essentially. So he got me to kind of focus on that, and then surround myself with people that can do the rest when it comes to building out teams for getting clients signed up, building out teams to either take on the clients ourselves or to refer them out, or whatever that is. Kind of helped me kind of work to my strengths was a big thing that he helped me think. And the other part was helping me to think big. Think big. I remember this lesson, just like think big. And I'm gonna go get a big poster on my wall. It says think big. And I within a week I got that poster. And ever since then, the mentality is kind of anything is possible.
Mhm.
That's just let's create big targets, big goals, and work backwards. On based on this vision of where we want to be. First writing that down, then kind of planning backwards, which is basically what are the resources we need, what are the people that we need to hire, what are the systems we need to implement, and what are our targets. And based on that, essentially what we do is we get a director or implementer to go with our vision to go implement these things over time. And then essentially with that, a lot of marketing, a lot of automations in between to kind of scale up these law firms.
Make it sound so easy.
It's easier once you do it once. My first time, it took me 5 years to get my first award, but the second one took me 3 years. The third one took me a year and a half, and then the last one was like 8 months.
Wow.
Once you go through the regiment of ones, especially the first time, I think the first time is like the hump. Once you get over that, then it really is. It's a recipe. Just have to know the recipe, and then obviously the rest is gonna implement it. And no one's gonna implement it for you. A lot of people. Let's talk about that, because a lot of people, I feel like, hire or do things where people just expect things to be done for them. There's no such thing. I'm sorry. You can't do that. Or maybe they'll set it up, but they won't ever follow through with it. So yeah, a lot of these things you kind of have to know what it is, what the system entails, and then you just have to go hire and put the pieces together yourself.
Totally. So when you're building a team, I think, we should dive into that a little bit deeper. Like, it's not expecting this team to just build it for you and you just tell them what to do. It's you actually having your hand in it and being the driver of the car with the team, running the engine. That makes sense.
Somebody has to, either you or the COO or the CEO, whatever, but somebody has to.
Yeah, 100%. What is the next big goal you are trying to hit right now?
AI. It's called Intake AI. Intake AI, and we're solving the biggest problem for lawyers, which is signing up clients. So what if AI could sign up clients for you? I could share with you, I've been a front runner of this for the past couple of months. I've been working on this.
We should talk.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's crazy. Right now I'm just we already built that it works, but now we're just trying to figure out the system for if we need to deploy this to hundreds of clients that come on and they want to take advantage of this, how we would do that, which is a whole different ball game.
Or would you just sign an exclusive with one person?
No, it doesn't have to be exclusive, but definitely there has to be a threshold of how big you have to be for this to make sense for you. So you need to have enough leads coming in on a daily basis, essentially.
What's that threshold?
I think we still have to figure it out, but at least a couple of intakers with at least, I would say at this point, it feels like at least minimum, at least a dozen, if not dozens of leads coming in per day.
So you're looking at like minimum kind of around that 50 today. That'd be kind of that's.
Like I would say like 10 to 100 leads a day will be a good place to be. Yeah. With at least 2 intakers.
Okay.
But man, it's a big value proposition. Because the last 3 years, that's all I've been doing is scaling up these intake teams to sign up clients for us. We got up to 460 clients per month being signed up by one of our law firms with intake teams, multiple intake teams for one law firm. But that took 3 years, a lot of work, a lot of management, a lot of incentives, a lot of tracking, a lot of goals, everything in between. Totally. But this completely could disrupt this entire system. We're just one system that could go and get in contact with your leads, qualify them, and if they qualify, get them signed up. If they don't qualify, give them instructions on how they can get qualified, keep them in our pipeline, follow up with them for the AI to follow up with them later down the line too.
Wow.
It's we're about to majorly disrupt this. And again, if anybody wants to kind of join this mission with me, find my contact information and reach out to me, because I'm literally building out this company right now. And what I found out is actually it's also much harder to put this together than I initially thought when I started this journey. So I know some people are like, "Oh, I want to do this too." It's not as easy as it seems.
I totally understand where you're coming from. Yeah. Broughton Partners has just built out this machine over the last 7 years, and it's like the co-counsel model. It's like everything that comes out of other people's mouths is, we're just like Broughton Partners, but cheaper. I'm like, yeah, I would love to see you do exactly what we do and what we bake out. Like, totally. But yeah,
and the data that we're sitting on, and the best practices and the experience that came from those best practices and things that we learned along the way. Yeah, totally.
100%. Yeah, we should definitely talk non-recorded. But yeah, So, tell us about your legal academy a little bit. Like, how can lawyers, what kind of lawyers do you serve? How can you serve them? And what can they get out of your teaching or your program?
Sure. So if there's any lawyers who are either thinking of going on their own, or if you're a law firm owner who already has a law firm and you just want to take your law firm to the next level, which is basically grow more, get more clients, create systems, create automations, hire a team, all that stuff, anything that falls into growing and scaling, then our program is kind of like the most optimized, most likely way for you to actually get the result that you want. So it's kind of like a multifaceted program. That's why I call it a program, not like a course. It's not really a course, it's a program. So all encompassing kind of like how to's plus kind of support to help you get this implemented, tech team, introductions to particular vendors that you may need to, depending on where you're at, accountability, networking, and a lot of other things along the way, resources, templates, everything that you possibly ever need to, again, increase your chance of actually you become successful at growing your law firm. If you're interested, just have to go on Google and just search for My Legal Academy. You'll to go apply for our program, free application. Just go learn, get some information, and then on the back end, you get some details about our program, and hopefully be able to join.
Cool. Talk to us a little bit about ChatGPT. What's your vision for this crazy shenanigan robot?
I feel like the ChatGPT is just one form of application of AI. I think where it's really at is figuring out what are the biggest problems that we have in our life, and then how could AI solve that problem. And I kind of started this incubation instead of our My Legal Academy about 3-4 months ago. Hey, what are the biggest problems we're having? Okay, well, there's client signups, there's customer service, there's drafting things, and then a couple other things that came up. So we started kind of creating incubations inside of our law firm, instead of our program, to try to tackle these problems. I kind of took on the intake on. We have somebody who already figured out how to automatically draft anything when it comes to estate planning and bankruptcy, which has been nice. The customer service, we're a couple of like a week or two away from figuring out. But really, I'm more interested in the actual application. Everybody could talk about ChatGPT and the prompts; those are all cool. But now let's really let's have something that we can actually apply, that could be automated for us to take a lot of this tedious and repetitive work off our hands. That even does it much better than we could possibly do it ourselves.
Okay, cool. Virtual assistants. Do you guys lean a lot on VAs in your business? And so do you push your clients that do the academy to really utilize VAs, or what's kind of the sweet spot?
Yeah. I jumped on virtual assistants 7 years ago. I got exposed to it. And then my first year I hired 7 VAs. But by the end of the year, when I analyzed the value of how much it costs for me to have the VA versus the value of that particular VA, that's when it kind of was like a light bulb moment. I'm like, this is like the highest ROI thing I could possibly ever spend money on. So I went crazy hiring literally as many VAs as I possibly could. Even there's 5 years ago, 60 VAs at a time. Right now we have about 100, 110 or so.
Wow.
But I really do see it as the highest ROI thing you can do for your law firm. Learn a lot of things along the way. There's a lot of different things that I could share about that. But the big picture is, I think ultimately it's just literally one of the highest ROI things you can do is to hire a lot of VAs, not just 1 or 2, but a lot of VAs to do very specialized tasks. I usually, I don't hire a VA to go do a bunch of stuff. It's like if you do intaking, okay, you only do intaking. If you do document collection, you only do document collection. And then kind of scaling up these kind of soldiers or armies of VAs that can do very specialized tasks for you.
I know that you have a lot of golden nuggets in your party trick bucket. But what are 2 things that people should look out for? I don't want you to give away all of your secret sauce, but let us have a little taste of what kind of things do you look for in a VA, and how do you know that they are going to be good for a certain kind of job?
So a lot of people have found fall into the trap of trying to interview VAs. I think interview is a waste of time. I stopped interviewing when I realized that some of the VAs that would interview seemed off good on the interview, but when it comes to their performance, they weren't good, and then vice versa. So I'm like, wait a minute, why should I interview them? Instead, let me just bring them on and give them a short task that they could do within 48 hours and let their work be the interview. Why do I need to talk to you? Figure out how to just go do it. And so that's one thing. Skip the interview, let the work do itself. Second thing is I kind of find VAs to be, fortunately, hit or miss. It's not foolproof. I kind of the equation that I have in my head is like 50-50. So if that's the case, let me increase my chances of finding the right person by hiring 2 VAs at a time. I call it rule of 2s. There's some things you should do 2 at a time.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. So I always try to hire 2 for any role right away. Within a couple of days, I already know who's better, who does it quicker, who's more responsive, and who can just obviously do it better. But usually those 2 first things are kind of good indication. Quicker and responsiveness is like a huge factor when it comes to VAs. And then from that right away, within a couple of days, I already know who's a superstar, who's not. If they're both good, great. And I have 2 amazing VAs. If not, okay, well, quickly I was able to find that superstar much sooner. And I'm able to kind of grow with them. And then once I bring on the next VA, that VA goes and works with the VA who's been already working with me the longer. So I don't train them. I basically just give them access to my SOP, have the VA train them, build up a teams of 3s. And then once you have a team of 3, then one of them becomes the manager of those. So you kind of create these units of VA teams, and you kind of scale up from there. And then from that, you have organization, you have managers and people under them. And then
so smart.
Yeah.
So smart. Do you use a program called Trainual by chance?
Trainual is great if you're trying to get fancy, but I just like keeping it super simple. So I use a lot of Google Docs and Google Sheets. So simple Google Doc for as an SOP. That way I could duplicate it for different law firms. I don't have to forget, things. But yeah, it's great. It is good, especially if you can. It's a way for people to check off that yes, I got through the thing. That thing, that's the one advantage that Trainual has that Google Doc doesn't have.
Yeah. We just recently switched, well, not recently, probably like 2 years ago, to Trainual. And I was like, wow, this is an amazing piece of software if I was running my own firm or running my own business and trying to onboard people. All right, cool. So let's just go through really quick where people can find you all in one place. I know you sprinkled it along the episode, but where can we find you on social links? What's your website? What's your email?
So I feel like if people got to this point of the podcast,
they will.
There's no way you should not be able to go book a call at least. So again, My Legal Academy, or just search for my name on Google or on YouTube or on Facebook or anywhere, Sam Mollaei. Definitely come and speak to our team. At least we'll have you in our system as we're giving out free trainings and this stuff and sharing all the information. You'll be able to kind of receive it. I'm also big on YouTube. Try to post a lot of value there. So just search for my name, or search for My Legal Academy on YouTube, and you'll be able to find me there as well.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much for your time, Sam. I really enjoyed reconnecting with you and learning more about you. And I'm sure we'll be talking again in the near future.
I appreciate it. Amy, can I add one more thing before you end it?
Yes, yes.
I feel like you're doing God's work. Something that I learned, interesting story of this guy who was very successful. He was a multi-millionaire, billionaire. And they asked him, what is your secret to success? And he said, I learned early in my career to make partnership with God. Make partnership with God. And everybody has different interpretation of what that means. And I remember when I first heard the story, I'm like, what does that even mean? Well, I'll share that again. I'll just share the lesson, and then up to you for your mind to kind of trying to figure out what that means. But once you make partnership with God and you instill God into your work and you spread his message and you embody it and you live it and you act like it and you try to have people to really understand it, that's when things really take off and you'll see like your life will blossom. And that's exactly what you're doing. And I already I know you have the right intention with this. I know you're going to do really, really well with this podcast and everything that you do in life and in your career.
Oh, thanks, Sam. That was so sweet. I really, really appreciate that. Yeah. Like I said before, I am not in control. This is his podcast, and I am just trying to figure it out, and thank God I'm not in control of it, because don't know how that would end up. But Yeah. Well, bless you too. Your business is booming. You're 35 years old. You're a new dad. How old's your girl now? 2?
2. Yeah.
2. Yeah. And just, yeah, blessings to you, my friend. I can't wait to connect further with you.
Thank you, Amy.
All right. Well, take care. We'll see you soon.